Hey there, friends. Welcome to another episode of Behind the Mask. I'm your host, Sarah Joy, your friendly neighborhood interrogator turned clone, helping you to get to know who the person is behind the screen name. Tonight, we are chatting with Kim. And you may know Kim from Tabletop Rebellion and lurking on the server. I'm finding you lurkers. That's what's happening. So, Kim, tell us a little bit about yourself as a human being person.
I am a dog mom, obsessed with Disney, and a lot of board game stuff. As you can see, this is a little bit of the collection, not all of it by any means. Um, been gaming. We count. I don't remember when we got into the hobby. It's been a hot minute. It seems like we blinked and we went from having like 6 games to like 300 games. So we kind of evolved that into creating a channel because why not? Everybody has a board game review channel, right?
Right,
I
right.
actually got my start covering a game called Star Wars Destiny, is actually where I started doing all of my content creation. A little TCG from Fantasy Flight Games about Star
Mhm.
Wars, one of my favorite things in the whole wide world. And then sadly, it went away. So when that went away is when we actually started making board game content under Tabletop Rebellion. But I also used to be a member of the Chance Cube. That was the group that I was with when I was first making content, and so we've
Mhm.
been making content since before the pandemic, right? I don't even remember what the years were before that.
Who knows?
The
Was there a
before
time
times
before?
and then the
Yeah.
after times.
Yeah.
So we've done that for a while, made so many amazing friends. And just this last year, I started doing a podcast with my friend Parker Simpson called Bored Out of My Mind for aspiring board game designers. So Parker is an aspiring board game designer. I'm just along for the ride as a content creator to have fun and learn more about people's stories. So that's been our latest adventure.
Love that. So I'm super curious. So Kim and I met for everybody else in person before I knew she was on the channel, which is wild because it usually works the opposite way. At Origins, and I'll just shout out to Origins in Columbus, Ohio. Um, and we met through Mark. So I'm super curious. How in the world did you find this little piece of the internet? Like, how did you stumble upon Mark and Nightcross Creative and then just kind of be like, it's really cool? All of these nerds in this Discord channel.
Actually, a fan of Mark's. So I got to know Mark through his artwork of Hedgehog Hop for Fight in a Box.
Ooh, yeah.
So because we covered games, Seppi was one of the very first publishers to ever take a chance on us, and he gave us a copy of his game Squirrel or Die. And through Seppi, I also got a demo that day of Hedgehog Hop, and that started my obsession with owning all of the acrylic versions of all of Fight in a Box's small box games. Thank God
Yeah.
they're small. Because and so yeah, I became a huge fan of Mark's from there. And not only is a really great artist, but he's actually, don't tell anybody this, but he's actually a really great human too. Like I don't want that to ruin his reputation or get out or anything, but a pretty great human as it is. And so and we share a love of Star Wars as well. So I kind of just snuck my way in from there onto the Discord channel.
I love it. And you've been lurking in the
I
background. I
have been
know,
lurking.
yeah. Drunkle Grog has recently found your podcast and is a little obsessed with it. So if
Hey,
all of the chat questions come from him, you know.
happy to
Oh my God.
oblige. I don't know anything about board game design, but I'm having a good time.
Oh,
Yeah, we've
that's
shared a few
awesome, right?
things.
I mean, like we play them all the time, right? So how, like, we kind of know, we know what works and what doesn't.
It's been a really cool experience to understand, like from
Mhm.
somebody who like just as a board game lover, like take out the whole content creator thing entirely. It's really cool to hear the stories behind some of the designers that you know, some of the games that you know. Like we interviewed Distilled, Distilled from Paverson Games. We got to
Mhm.
recently interview Dave from there, and he's just a fascinating human. He did art stuff before that, so he has a really cool background. And it's just really cool to get to this community's so fun to get to meet people through anyway.
Oh
So
yeah.
it's been really fun exploring backstories, and I get to nerd out and geek out whenever I meet some of my favorite people.
I love it so much. I love it so much. And that's really what it is we have found like this weird niche of the internet where like Fantasy Flight Games made this really cool Star Wars game, and then we all started finding each other. We're all
Yeah,
into very similar things. Like board game design, game enthusiasm. I feel like that's what like you've taken the enthusiasm to the next level. I'm still like I just really love board games.
That shouldn't happen.
Um, yeah, and like really have kind of bonded together as human beings in a way that we wouldn't have had an opportunity before. So shout out to
Oh,
Fantasy
totally.
Flight for doing that. Oh my God, bring that
Yeah.
back. You know better. You
Let me
guys
tell
know
you,
better.
I mean, the board game community in general is amazing, but
Oh yeah.
experiencing that Star Wars community through that game was one of the coolest, best experiences of my life by far. I got to go to Worlds, I got to go to Nationals. I didn't play in them. I was covering them. I'm not that good of a TCG player. But getting to follow all that and be a part of it was
Mhm.
just really, really cool. Still talk to the designer. I talked to Jeremy Zwern at Gen Con this year. And it's
Mhm.
cool that he still remembers who I am. So, because they are developing a new Star Wars game at this point.
Good.
So, and Jeremy is involved in the design of that. So he was one of the designers for Star Wars Destiny. So it'll be Star Wars Unlimited. It will not have dice, but it is another TCG. I haven't decided if I'm gonna do it. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if I can do it,
Oh well,
but
yeah,
I
of
will
course you
follow
have to
along
do
for
it.
sure. Like I'm sure I'll have
Yeah.
some. But I don't know that I'll get in competitively and try to do a podcast again because I already don't have spare time. So.
Wait, there's you can do this competitively. Hold on, this is
Oh
like a
yeah,
brand
yeah,
new
yeah.
thing for me. Wait, what is the competitive tabletop RPG game like? What is that? How do
Well,
you
since
do
it's
that?
unlimited, it'll be another. I don't know if they're doing it as a TCG or because
Uh-huh.
I have purposefully been not following it very much because I don't
Uh-huh.
want to get hooked because I don't want to get hooked. We're already sort of on the Lorcana boat, floating along a little bit, and so, but they are bringing back another competitive card game that releases in, I want to say March of 2024, and
Okay.
minus if you take out the issues that they had with product for Star Wars
Mm.
Destiny. They still did pretty good with their competitive scene of stuff. So local stores will have open play nights, and then they'll have championships that would go up to store championships. And if FFG follows their normal stuff, then they'll have regional and state and like all the way up to Worlds again is what they held in Minneapolis. If you like every year they held it for all of their Star Wars IP stuff. But it's a cool thing to even if you're not like even if you're casual and you just go play to hang out and you know you're not going to make it into the top whatever, it's still a really cool experience.
That is so amazing. And I forget like that because like one of my good friends is one of the top Pokemon players in the world, and
Oh
I'm
yeah,
like,
so
oh
yeah,
wait, that's
similar.
still a thing, but it
Yeah,
totally is, right?
crazy. Yeah, it
Yeah.
really is. And it is like so. I'm curious to see how because they actually did have. Well, they had some. They had at least some. I think they were mostly learn to plays at Gen Con with just
Mhm.
some of the starter stuff. But I would assume the game will be released by Gen Con next year, so I'm sure there'll be a ton of competitive because FFG is usually pretty good about having that ready to roll when the game goes out.
Right.
Disney Lorcana has not started their competitive play yet. They're not doing that till second quarter of next year. I don't know why I know all this stuff because I don't even play competitively anymore, but I just sort of I
I'm
can't
here
help but
geeking out about it.
listen
I'm
to
like,
it.
yeah, tell me more. Yeah, yeah.
There's a
Well,
part of me
yeah.
that misses it. Yeah, there's a part of me that misses that community, so I stay a little tucked in, a little tuned into it occasionally just to see what's going on. And we have enjoyed a lot of the Lorcana is a really fun game too if you play Magic the
Mhm.
Gathering. It's similar. It's like Magic Light, but it's all Disney
Mhm.
characters. So you can play with your family. You can play very casually. You can build your favorite character decks. I'm gonna build a Little Mermaid deck, but I just play here at home because right now you can't get product, so it's hard to play it anywhere
Oh
else.
yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, like the
That's a
Gen
whole
Con
other.
lines this
Yeah, you
year,
can get in a whole
right?
other thing. Although PAX
That was
wasn't near as bad about product. I was some friends who were at PAX Unplugged this past
Mhm.
weekend said it was much easier to get your hands on product at PAX than it was at Gen Con.
Yeah, I'm not surprised though because they released at Gen Con and everybody had
Hmm.
to have like I got it at Gen Con
Oh yeah,
kind of vibes.
yeah.
So
I helped
yeah,
teach.
it's wild.
I volunteer. Well, I didn't volunteer. I did get paid. To teach.
But
I was in the Learn to Play ticketed events, so I was teaching that event at Gen Con for Disney Lorcana, which was really really fun to see all different kinds of players from all different kinds of backgrounds and skill sets. So you had
uh-huh.
people who played Pokemon and Magic and all that stuff, and you have people who have never played a trading card game ever in their life sitting down to learn this game, and they were all most people were able to pick it up, and so it's really approachable. And the artwork is will totally suck you in because it's all new artwork if you like
Of
Disney stuff. It is a
yeah.
bad combo for me for being a huge Disney fan and liking these kinds of games. It's bad. Like it's
Yeah.
not good for
Just like send them part of your paycheck and be like,
yeah,
it's
like
fine.
I
Just
might just
send me
might as
all the
well start a
cards.
direct deposit
Yeah.
because yeah, bad.
You know, some people do hard drugs, other people have
Yeah.
cards. Yeah.
Retirement and that kind of stuff. Nah, I don't. Kim doesn't need that right now. It's fine. I just have all
Yeah.
these. In fact, I almost have some within reach. I could almost fan them, but
Oh, I love that. That's awesome.
yeah.
That's
So
amazing.
it's a cool game. Like it's and as a board gamer, you know it's hard not to chase the next big new exciting thing. You know, like it's hard
Mhm.
not. Mark's got another cool game coming out that I'm chasing that I'm waiting on. Well, it's not Mark's game, but Mark did a bunch of the art on it, so
Yeah, Conquest Princess.
I'm waiting for
Oh
Conquest
yeah.
Princess.
You and me both. Jonesing for that real
Can't
bad.
wait. I
Oh,
can't
it's
wait. I
so
heard
good.
lots of good things from some friends who finally got to try it at PAX this year.
Oh,
Really.
good. Good, good, good.
So
Yeah.
everything I'm still hearing from anybody who got to go sit down and try that out was all positive. So that's exciting.
We- I hear Mark has one that we can just take and go play. I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
That's
Um,
true. He's close.
yeah,
I keep forgetting that I can just come up there and kidnap him anytime I need to.
that's right. That's right. And I think I might have a key to his house. Sorry, Mark. Um, I still have that.
We'll set up all the little Conquest Princess characters just around his office. Just,
Oh
whatever.
my God, yes. This is
We
this is
did them
amazing. I
around
love this idea.
Origins. So we took the characters out. So Mark hand delivered me a prototype copy of Conquest at Origins so we could get it around so some people could see it. So
Hmm.
we at least got a few people in front of it, and then I took all the characters on a tour of Origins. So there's a picture of me like holding them up, looking out into the
God,
game
that's so
hall,
good.
and we had a bunch of other people like hold them and take pictures with them, and so it was so much fun. I wish I would have had a little bit more time to film that, but we had so much fun doing that, just
Oh, that's
running
amazing.
around
And
the
like the
convention.
characters on it are so good and so well thought
Oh yeah,
through.
I love it.
Like, yeah, I
We
absolutely
came up
adore
with
it.
interests for all of them. Certain ones like the paint and takes, and other ones like few of them liked what was it, Thunder Road Vendetta. So we had a good time
Uh-huh.
moving the characters around.
So well done. I love it. And that's like, tying it back to Nightcast. We've got so many different creative like things going on here that it's freaking mind blowing. I love it so much. But we're all wondering because at one point none of us played games, and then suddenly we played games. What happened to get you into board games? You had six, and then you had 300.
Yeah, I swear we went to bed one night and they were like little bunnies. But
Oh yeah,
so
that
my
can
husband and
happen.
I, we just had some friends at work that every year had a white elephant gift exchange with board
Uh-huh.
games. And so, like, I was an only child, so I didn't get to. Everybody that we interview has all these stories about, oh, I played games when I was a kid. I played with myself. I set up a mousetrap long enough to, like, trigger mousetrap, and then I put the game away. I didn't play mousetrap. I just set the thing up. And I had Mall Madness, and I shopped by myself.
Hmm.
But when we went to this board game exchange, we ended up playing Carcassonne. Was one of the first games that we ever played, and after that game night, so everybody White Elephant exchanges the gifts, and then we all sit around and play games that night. And we went, "Hey, that was pretty cool. We should pick that one up." And then
Hmm.
I went to bed one night, and Carcassonne made all of these. So yeah, like so it started with Carcassonne, and then it's mostly just the two of us, and then we
Hmm.
started to get our 11-year-old, well, at the time, now he's 17, but we got our nephew when he was about 11. We got him to start playing board games with us, and now he'll play D&D with us. And so yeah, it very quickly evolved from Carcassonne into Ticket to Ride, that kind of stuff, and then we started to get a better feel for what we liked, what worked good for two players. Like Castles of Burgundy is my all-time favorite game. So we had an old copy of that until I finally did break down and get you can't see it, but it's above me, the pretty version of Castles of Burgundy because it deserves it.
Nice. I've not played that one. I try to find the one player games because my dog for
Oh
some
yeah.
reason won't play with me. So
I
yeah.
we've started to embrace like my husband Jim has played some solo, and I'm starting to
Hmm.
find like he played Heat solo.
Hmm.
I played a couple things. I do a lot of smaller stuff solo. Like Gentle Rain is one of my favorite games to play solo, but it's really hard to find. It's out of print. I know Plain and Unknown, so I played that one, but I'm lazy and I'll just play that on Sovereignty instead of setting the board up.
Oh,
Same
well,
thing
that's
with
it's
like
so much easier.
Dice
Yeah,
Miner.
big
Yeah, I'll
fan of
play Dice Miner
sovereignty.
solo. Yep, because I don't want to have to set it up and I can do that during meetings when I'm supposed to be working. Don't tell my boss.
Oh
I
my
honestly,
God, that's so
boss, I don't
brilliant!
do
I
that very
never
often.
thought
That
of
never
doing
happens.
that.
Never happens.
Yes, this is
Definitely
mind
never
blowing
happens.
to me. Yeah, none of us are ever gonna play on sovereignty. If you all haven't played on there yet, it's actually a really nice setup. I had a date on there that I was really bored with, and I was actually engaged because I was playing. Nice. Oh, we got a Kim freeze, but we got a Kim freeze and a perfect smile. So I love that. Kim will be back here shortly. She's having some internet issues. Um, we're gonna look into some of the. Let's see. We've got some endorsements for Heat and PU. Okay, did we get you back?
I'm back. Sorry.
All right.
The
No,
internet
you're
in the
good.
sticks
You
is for the
froze
birds, you guys.
perfectly. You have
So
this like
full
perfect
disclosure,
smile.
I don't love Heat. I didn't love it. I know. I know.
Oh. But you know,
I
we all have the thing that works for us and the thing that doesn't.
it was that
So,
I like the game with enough players. I do not like the AI in the game. If you take the AI piece out of it with all the legends or whatever the after race who have to follow zero rules and can do whatever they want whenever they want, then I like the game. So that's I've realized that I am in the minority on that one.
nice. I've never played it, so we'll have to play it at a
We'll hook
game
you
night.
up.
That'll be
We'll get a game.
amazing.
Yeah, we'll get a game night.
That'll be amazing. That'll be amazing. And again, like everyone else on the server too, if you all haven't like tried Sovereignty yet, it's actually super fun.
Love it.
And it's a great way to game with your friends. Like for those of us who play, like Kim, you said you played D&D.
Yep.
I played D&D, play it here on Discord. It's nice to kind of have another option for your long distance friends
Oh,
to
for
get
sure.
on.
It was huge
So,
for us during COVID.
oh my
Seppi
God,
called
yeah.
me up one day. Seppi Yoon called
Mhm.
me up and said, "Hey, like, why don't you come to this game thing on Tuesday night?" And I went, "Okay, yeah, cool." And I've been going almost every not almost every but most Tuesdays since then. We will get together and play, and I've met some amazing friends on that app, and it's just really nice. Like I look forward to Tuesdays.
We've accumulated a really good community, like the board game community that, and Mark, I'm going to give you a shout out here, that Mark has really fostered
Mhm.
and kind of has grown and bloomed has been really amazing. And along with the RPG community. So how did you get into Dungeons and Dragons? I always love to hear everybody's stories on this.
So I that was another I'm trying to think there was a group that we ended up joining. There was a some friends from work, so there was kind of a group of us that got together and the guy who was willing to DM had played like started in first edition and he was
Uh-huh.
very adamant about converting all of his stuff from first edition to fifth edition. To be totally fair, I definitely got a little more interested in it because we were watching Critical Role.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
I was already kind of interested anyway. Now, do any of our sessions look anything like what Critical Role does? Absolutely not.
Yes.
We're not voice
Of course
actors.
they do.
Yeah,
Nobody knows.
we are not actors. We are not. I have learned that like, oh, I want to go and role play. No, I just want to go hit things with my sword. Or with my magic because I've played a few different characters. So, but that's it started because a group of us at work wanted to give it a try. And then my nephew wanted to try it. So my husband has DM'd for us, and we've had some friends join in that. And I got to do some of the mouse cheese, so the mechanical corners. Oh, I'm going to say it wrong, and Mark's going to chastise me forever. I've got to play a little bit of that one, and then watching what Mark and Seppi do. I didn't really know a lot about indie RPGs, and now I'm really interested to try some more of those just because I like the different formats of them.
Yeah.
But primarily I've only played 5e D&D to start with. Was a gnome bard to start. Her name was
Oh my
Bree.
God,
I loved
so
her. I still
cute.
love her. She's still
Uh-huh.
alive and kicking. That campaign hit a pause because everybody's life got in the way, so she's fine. She's just
Mhm.
stuck. We're stuck in a forest that we can't get out of, and we've been there for about 2 years now. So someday Bree will get out of the forest. But I
Appropriate for life.
loved playing a gnome bard. But I've also found that I can think of the best quips and things when I'm not a bard. Like I can think of all of the sarcastic, funny, song-related comments to make when I'm not a bard. It's
Of
like
course.
the improv pressure is off or something.
Yep,
So I've
yep.
also played. I'm a one of our new campaigns. I'm a fire druid. That's been kind of fun.
Mhm.
Druid is very new to me to play. I've done a paladin a couple times. And then I have a guy called Tormund who is a like a folk hero, but he is, oh gosh, what I'm blanking on what he is, a giant. Oh my god, I forget what I can't remember what his class is to save my life right now.
That's
Um
okay.
anyway, but yeah, so we made him a folk hero, and I drive my nephew crazy because I walk around and act like a folk hero who's really full of himself.
I
And
love that. But
it
it's
drives him
so
crazy.
good for a teenage boy to have to deal with that too.
Oh, for sure. He's so embarrassed, a samurai fighter guy. And oh, do you need like, I'm trying to think which animated characters I based him on, but it's a little, almost a little Johnny Bravo esque kind of is how he
Oh
rolls a
yes.
lot. But yeah. So he is a cleric in one of the campaigns. I don't
Mhm.
think he's not with the one with Ethan, but I bounce him around a little bit, but I love it. I'm a dice goblin. I have a giant bag of dice. That's one of my
As you should.
favorite things to buy at a convention or something like
Mhm.
that. Like if we travel somewhere and we go visit a game store, I try to get a set of dice from that game store.
Mhm. It's
Um,
supporting small business is what it is, Kim. You're
exactly.
doing the good
Yeah.
work.
My newest obsession is liquid core die. Like,
Oh yes.
oh my
Yes.
gosh, they're so pretty. They're
Yeah.
so amazing. I only have a couple of sets, but I did buy like, and I've gone to where I just buy D20s because the rest of them, the effect is not the same. Like they're okay, but the
It's
effect is not
so
the same.
good. And your
They're like
D20 is
little
gonna get
snow orbs.
lonely.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like they need friends.
they
Danny,
do.
yeah, Danny from Son of Sovereignty did get me a
Mm.
dunce chair for the dice, and that has been used a couple of times.
I
So
like it.
got a timeout chair with a little dunce cap that sits on the die when they misbehave.
That's so cute. I have a
So
jail that I
that's awesome.
legit put them in
They
and lock
have
them.
earned it a few times, let me tell you.
Oh
Like
yes.
they misbehave a lot, my dice do. Like you would think I give them so much love and attention and support, and they just do me dirty a lot.
Yep. Yep. I am Wheaton, so I roll nat
Me
ones
too.
more than anyone human should roll nat ones.
We did a
So
one shot at this place called Ravenwood Castle here in Ohio, and if you ever get the chance to check it out, I highly recommend it.
yeah,
Uh,
I've seen the website.
it's so cool. They have a summertime, very, very tiny convention in July. And so Con at the Castle is what it's called. So we went to Con at the Castle and we did a one shot, and the entire table couldn't hit to save their life. It like we weren't sure we were gonna be able to complete this like 4 hour thing because
Uh-huh.
no one was rolling damage at the table at all. Like it was just constant misses. Like, and I think they let us start at like third or fifth level or something like that. So we
And you're
weren't
like, it's
even
fine.
like super
We're all gonna
squishy. It
die.
was just,
Yeah.
and it was this car or this vehicle that had gnomes on it that just kept rolling on over us. Like it was so bad. We couldn't roll damage to save our lives, but it was a lot of
Oh
fun.
my God, I love it.
It
I
was a
love
lot
it.
of fun.
So, Kim, I'm super curious. You said your coworkers at work were the ones who were like, let's play
Yeah.
D&D. How did that conversation happen? First off, do you mind sharing with us what you do?
Oh yeah, I work at the largest credit union here in Ohio, for their learning and development department. Although at the time I was in the mortgage systems group, so an entirely
Ooh,
different job. And there were
exciting.
several of us all in that group, and
Oh,
we all kind of, most of us sat very close to each other. We were kind of in a circle, so we got lunch together a lot. And so it was a
mm,
group of us that had talked about it and toyed with the idea, and then finally went, okay, let's do it. And so we tried a couple, like, it sputtered a couple of times. And then we got the one guy who was like, hey, I played since, you know, first generation of this, and I will DM. And so
you're
we're
like,
like, all right.
excellent.
And so we did that for at least a year or so. And then it was really just a matter of like, a couple folks have really younger kids, so we just had to hit the pause button on it. Is the only reason that it's really stopped. And so yeah, they were on a great little campaign that he had done, and we were just stuck in a woods that is ever turning. So we just say that we're just stuck
Fun.
in the woods ever turning. My husband still plays with that guy that DMs, but the rest of us have just not. Like I don't know if everybody else has ever experienced this, but the hardest part of D&D is
Yep.
scheduling your D&D sessions. So we're really
Exactly.
just on that loop of like every period, anybody free? Anybody free?
Yes. Yeah,
No.
I have a standing game on Friday that maybe we play once or twice a month,
Right.
maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah,
We've
yeah. It's
struggled with
in
that.
hardest part of being an adult, hardest part of playing games as an adult is scheduling to play games.
Yeah, we even tried a different session with a different group of friends who were
Uh-huh.
mostly adults, but two, one college, just one just out of college. And we thought it should be
Mhm.
fine. No, we can't coordinate our schedules either.
Mm-mm.
Just can't
No.
do it. Someday.
Yeah, that's what we keep saying. That's what we keep saying. It'll happen. It'll happen or it won't, and then you'll go on to another game and that'll be excellent.
Everybody's just kind of hanging
Um,
in limbo, doing a thing.
yep. That's how we get through life. So other than Dungeons and Dragons, have you had an opportunity to play any of the other RPGs? You said you're starting to get into independent ones.
Like I said, I
Tell me
did
more about
Mechanical Corners with Mark. Loved the system that was built on, but I haven't tried. Like, we haven't tried any others yet. We picked up a couple on Free RPG Day that we really want to try,
that. Hmm.
and we were just talking to somebody the other day about trying a different system. We have toyed with playing the Star Wars system. I feel like
It's
that
good.
might have been Mark who was talking to me about that.
Oh yeah.
But he's not the first one. We've had a couple groups that have wanted to dip our toes in that, and we just haven't done it. So I
Mhm.
think that's going to be what we try next.
Nice. There's a gift that just popped up of evil Kermit encouraging you to do that. I will also encourage you to do that.
I'm
It's
dying to
like
try.
yeah. And the fate system is such a good system because it's like the next level up in like you've got D&D where you can use it very narratively, right? But like the fate system throws you something where you're like, what do you mean I have to figure out my own consequence? This is
Oh
terrible.
yeah. Well,
But
and
it's so good.
the other day so the nephew had come over and we had our big Nerdapalooza, so it's our annual kind of gaming thing that we do with friends. And the
Mm,
nephew had come and stayed the night, and so the plan was we were going to play D&D the next day, and then it just work happened and there was only two of us available. So
mm,
we actually pulled out a game called Destinies from Lucky Duck that uses an online app to kind of
mm,
run your game for you. It is not the same as playing D&D by any means, but it is a story. Well, I guess not by any means. It is a little similar, but it's a story-driven game that has cards
mm,
that have QR codes on them that you will actually hold up to your computer for it to scan. So you'll use the same cards and like the big stack of locations
mm.
and stuff like that. But there's like three or four different stories in this whole thing that you can play through. So we actually tried one of
Interesting.
those since we didn't have
Uh-huh.
anybody to DM us and still got to kind of feel like we got to go on an adventure. Each character has their own individual objective that you don't know. Like, so it's
Mhm.
unknown to the other players. And you're going around and you have to do quests or fight things, and you are rolling die to try to get successes. So it's similar to that, but you're only rolling six-sided dice for those.
Very Shadowrun. I like it.
It was a neat,
Oh,
yeah,
that's
it was
cool.
a neat system. We have, I think I have any, I think I just have the base game. I don't think I have any expansions of that, but I think we'll probably pick them up at some point, just as an alternative.
Yeah.
If we can't get something else on the table, then it sort of scratches that itch for exactly the same because I want to get play with those, but
Mm.
it'll scratch the itch.
Well, and it's helpful, especially like for people who don't have friends who are going to DM for them
Hmm.
so that they can still start having that experience. Or for people who are really nervous. I have a couple friends who won't play D&D because they're very nervous about it.
Yeah,
D&D, any tabletop RPG, really.
yeah,
But yeah, like kind of having some like a computer driven game generator to walk you through so that you start getting the experience is amazing. That's
yeah.
super
I think
cool.
yeah, it was a
I
cool one.
didn't do that.
There's another one called Forgotten Waters that I think is really fun that is pirate
Uh-huh.
themed that is kind of similar, and I think it's easier to play online with people than it is to net like that only one person needs a physical copy of the game and everybody else can just join online and be in charge of something and kind of move stuff around. Just one
Oh, that's
person
cool.
has to stick the map on a camera. So we did that a lot during COVID.
Oh, nice.
Just
I like
something
that. And
something that
it's
we could
it's
get on the table.
narrative. Yeah, really. And it's also a narrative kind of
Yeah,
game.
yeah, they actually
Nice.
had a lot of people do voiceover work. I would have died to done some of the voiceover work for it.
Uh-huh.
They just had people reading parts of it, and they had like there was a few content creators that got to do it. I'm not big enough for any of that kind of stuff, but I put it out into the universe like
Good
I
enough
will
for
totally
us.
want to do this, but it didn't happen.
Yeah.
But it's I think it's a really cool. That one's from Plaid Hat, and I think that's a really cool system to try out. And we played it several times with people,
Mhm.
different stories that you're going through. Um, enjoyed that a lot.
Nice. Oh my God, I love it so much. So I'm gonna pivot on something that we've been talking about. We're gonna have a this is like our heart to heart, our heart to for everyone else kind of conversation moment. We do this adult conversations for people. Um, so like you have a lot of friends, Kim, and you've done a great job kind of cultivating an amazing community and getting plugged into amazing
Hey.
communities. I've had multiple discussions this week, and it is Monday, about how hard it is to make friends as an adult. So, like, yeah, let's talk about like what you've been able to do, like how you've been able to make and engage in these friendships and how gaming has helped facilitate that.
Yeah, because it is. Try to go into origins. Husband and his best friend tease me that I can't go like 5 steps without bumping into somebody that I know,
Uh,
and it happened accident. Like I don't want to say accidentally, but it wasn't necessarily like I didn't set out to find a new. But I felt like I found my people when I found the board gaming industry, and there were so many people who have similar like I have some social anxieties, like with group that kind of thing, and so finding other people who you're already before you even walk in the door, you're already accepted from that kind of stuff. I feel like,
mhm.
I sometimes warrant like when I put my badge on for a convention, it's my superhero outfit because I'm not near as nervous going around to introduce myself. Because usually you put me in a space with people that I don't know, I'm terrified and I claim up and I don't say anything. But put me in a board game convention when other people want to talk about games and we have this common interest, and suddenly it's like, I like that mechanic and I really like this game. Then have found it easier for myself to open up to people, and
Uh-huh.
just finding so much support from everyone makes it so much easier to then want to in turn offer that support to other people. So I feel like it's been a lot of that whole like, hey, you're doing this thing and I want to support you with that. Like for instance, Conquest Princess. Hey, that's a game that I really think needs to be made and I want to offer support here. So how can I connect with people more? And so it's really just my way of trying to connect with people is how can I support you in what you're doing?
Oh my God, that's brilliant.
With like just and it's a genuine like I want to be connected to you because I care about this project that you're working on too.
Mhm.
And so I feel like it's that fostered love of the project that is how I've kind of connected and made these relationships and made these friends. And then I'm just like, it's my people. I'm so much more comfortable with so many of them than people that I see, every day at work or something like that.
Right, which makes a lot of sense. And I love what you said. How can I support you? Because we all do have our passion projects, right? And
Oh,
like
sure.
even people who have it like buried deep inside of them, and maybe sports ball teams are the thing that they love and they
Right.
want to go to a sports ball game, right? You can always engage with that. How can I support you? And it's connecting in a way that I think we miss a lot. Oh my
Yeah.
God, I love that so much.
Yeah. And
And
it
like,
had, oh,
yeah.
sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, go ahead.
I was, and it wasn't even like the channel I do for fun. Like nothing that I do when I'm trying to connect with somebody, it's not a well, Kim's out to do that to promote her channel. I tabletop
Mm-mm.
rebellion could no longer be a thing tomorrow, and I'm still going to come out there and support, like, because that's just a fun thing that I do.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a way that I can at least take this and hopefully be a little bit louder for somebody else who needs a bigger microphone. But it's always just trying to be like, even as a small channel, there's what other voice can I help amplify? How can I be noisy about this game so that other people know about it? Because this game needs to be made, or these people like, and from that you meet wonderful people. So then it turns into how can I help this person connect with this person? Parker, for instance, is brand new to the industry. So who do I know that Parker could talk to that might be able to mentor him better than I can? Because I don't know how to make a board game,
Right.
but who
You're
do
like,
I
I
know
can
that
play
can?
him.
So I
Yeah.
love being able to make those kind of connections. Parker jokingly calls me his board game fairy godmother, which was never my intent. But he and there's another group that they've just kind of, and I'm just like, I just want to connect people because there's such a warm, fulfilling thing about that. And me being able to connect with somebody or me being able to connect to somebody's and then they get to go do a thing. Like, I just think that's the coolest thing ever.
And you know what? Like, my theory is that's life. Like,
Mm-hmm.
we're here on this planet together for a certain amount of time. Like, like, I believe there's a reason. Some people believe they're not. Regardless, we're here. It's a
Yep.
thing.
Yep.
And being able to connect and like have that just makes life so much more fulfilling.
Oh, for sure.
You know?
I'm so
Yeah.
much happier in that arena of things and just trying
Uh-huh.
to share that joy with other people. I am the happiest when I'm at a board game table. Even if I'm losing, it's okay. I don't care if I'm losing.
Yeah, the point is
I'm
not
here
to
for the
lose. Like,
social thing. Like, I
not
don't
to
care. I
win or
mean,
lose. Exactly, exactly. Like, what do you get if you
losing.
win? Woohoo! You won one time in a board game.
Now,
Like,
Jim is probably in the other room going, that's a lie, because she's very competitive with me, and that is true. I only care if I'm losing to my husband. Everybody else, I just want to have fun with. And we can be in, if there's a 4-player game, as long as I'm in third place and Jim is in fourth place, then we're good.
it's perfect.
But that's just friendly competition in the house. I'm
Yeah.
getting looked at from the other room. That's
Oh
just
my God,
friendly
I love that.
competition in the house because, it's just the two of us. Somebody's don't want to lose all the time to the guy I have to live with, but
Right. Oh my God, I love that. So no, that brings up another good point. We'll have another adult conversation here. So like you do play with your husband a lot, right?
oh yeah,
Who
I am
lives
so
in the
grateful.
house with you. Yeah.
Yeah,
How do you guys
yeah,
balance that?
we made it through COVID. We both work from home. Like we are together a lot.
Right.
But I married
How
my
are
best
neither
friend.
of you dead?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. We figured out like we've been together 21 years. Not as
congratulations.
old as that sounds, but
Yeah.
we knew like we I mean I married my best friend and that's been a blessing in and of itself. We share a lot of interests, but yet we have enough things that we can go, that's my thing, that's his thing, that we can, we're not together all the
Mhm.
time. But having a partner who also likes to game with me, who also likes to make content with me some, so you'll hear my feminine voice and see his hairy arms in a lot of our YouTube videos, which I always think is really funny.
Love that.
But I'm very grateful that he also enjoys the hobby and that this all started as something we like to do together. He went to Gen Con by himself with some friends. Well, I guess not by himself, but with some friends. I was at that
Mhm.
point, I was like, I don't want to go. That's probably when Gen Con was like 40, 50,000 people. And I was like, no, thank you. That sounds terrible. It wasn't for the games. It was just, I'm not prepared to meet that many new people today.
That's a lot of new
And I
people.
still get
Yeah.
real overwhelmed at Gen Con, and he is my little safe space when I go. But then like we went to Origins, we did that thing with our friends, and I was like, "Yeah, I really dig this board game thing. Like this is really cool." So it really
Mhm.
did start as more his hobby than mine, and he paints miniatures, and he still does that. I can't get into that hobby to save my life. Um, that's his gig. That's not mine. I'll just dip it in one color of paint, and I'm done. Look, I
There
painted a
you
miniature.
go. Yeah. Yeah.
I painted one miniature and it was the Invisible Man because I didn't want to have to paint a face, and it turned out pretty good. And I'm going to stop there because I think I've hit my peak, and I'm just going to leave it at that.
I like it. Was it one color? Was it one color?
It was a mixture of like browns and grays.
Oh, that's really good. That's really
So
good.
there wasn't just one color. I did some shading. I'm like, see, I pay attention when you watch all these various YouTube videos and things like that. But having us to be like to be able to play games together, like it's something we do on a weeknight to relax. It's
Mhm.
some like it's we did it a lot during COVID when there was nothing else to do. It's I'm very very grateful that I have someone who also enjoys this hobby, likes doing the D&D stuff. Like we nerded out real hard together, and that's awesome.
That's amazing. Yeah. Were you all like when you got together 21 years ago, which really is not that long ago. It's in the 2000s.
I know,
Um,
just but we made it.
oh, I know. It hurts me sometimes when I think back. But like at that point, did you guys know that you were both nerdy? I'm very curious. Like, were you both like Star
Yeah,
Wars?
I've always been like, oh yeah, like I'm a nerdy Tom girl. I have never tomboy, Tom girl, whatever the phrase is. I don't even know if that's the
You're a
appropriate phrase.
nerdy person. Yeah.
I'm not a girly girl. I have
Mhm.
moments that I can attempt to be girly, but I'm not very girly. So I've always liked video games and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and just
Yes.
nerdy stuff. And so we were the apartment when we had our first apartment together and we were dating, we were the like none of our other friends necessarily, or they had like maybe they were being more grown up than us, I don't know. We had the fun house. Like we had the video
Yes.
games still, and we had so everybody hung out at our house. We still have all like the board game stuff. And I don't
Mhm.
video game quite as much as I used to, but just for lack of
Yeah.
time. more than
I was
anything.
gonna say there are only so many hours in the
So
day, and when
many
you want to
hours.
play RPGs and board
Yeah.
games and
And I
video
have to have
games,
a real job and I have to take care of the dogs and like
what is bills? Bills, what are that? Was that?
cares
Yeah.
about those. So he knew. I always joke that Jim knew what he was getting into when we started dating. Like I'm probably more nerdy now. I'm probably more into Star Wars now than I was then, funny enough, because I started
Interesting.
on Spaceballs. I saw Spaceballs before I ever saw Star Wars. And
Okay.
so because my I love Mel Brooks, and
Hmm.
Spaceballs was often on the channel 45 Saturday afternoon movie after all the cartoons went off. So I just saw it a lot as a kid, and my dad watched it, so we had it on. I think we had it on like beta tape. I'm really aging myself now.
Oh
Uh,
no, that's okay, Kim, because we're very close in age. So
I'm like, I'm pretty sure we had it on beta tape,
yes.
and I
Yep.
definitely learned on that through that movie.
Hmm.
But and so then I saw the serious version of it, and I was like, huh, what's the serious version of Spaceballs? Like, I don't get it. So eventually, I do would have kept up with some more of that, but I think a lot of Mel Brooks's jokes wouldn't make it in today's society very well. A lot of the stuff doesn't age well at all.
It does
But
not.
now I'm head over heels in love with Star Wars. And I'd always been an OG fan, but now I'm caught up on, and I actually got to see my ones that I saw in a movie theater were the prequels. Take them for what you will. I don't hate the prequels.
Yeah,
Um,
it's Star Wars. It's still
Star
Star
Wars.
Wars.
Yeah, I don't care.
Right.
Like I'm not
Yeah.
that. I'm not that. I just love the story for the story. And now I'm elbow deep into what's happening now with it. And I had a reaction podcast that we did for a little while with my podcast buddy that I did with the Chance Cube. He and I had a
Mm.
podcast called Waiting for Obi. So we were trying to
Oh,
watch
fun.
the Star Wars, the Disney Plus Star Wars shows while we were waiting on the Obi-Wan Kenobi show to come out. And then we got to Obi, like we got about
Yeah.
halfway through the season, and then he's got two small kids and I was busy, so our lives just spun out of control and we didn't have time to make any
Mm.
more. So we waited for Obi, got about halfway through it, and then didn't finish the podcast series. But
You're like wah wah.
womp womp.
Yes,
But
that's
I
how I
loved
go.
that was a lot of fun too, because his Star Wars knowledge blows me away. Like he knows a significant amount of backstory stuff in Star Wars that I don't know.
Yeah, the people who kept up with the books during like
He
the
did that fun too.
in
Yeah.
between times when we were like 4, 5, and 6 is all we got.
I don't know.
Just
Yeah, I feel
amazing.
like that was my time to catch another. It's gone. Like there, I feel like
Yep.
to try to come into that fandom now and even try to digest all that stuff. Like I don't know how anyone would find time to do
Mm-mm.
it. I just don't know. You just gotta
Yeah,
pick
no,
somewhere and start, and just hope the rest of it will fill itself in at some point.
right, yeah, or just read way too much Wikipedia, which is kind of where I go when I get a little lost.
You use that a
So,
lot. When we were on the podcast, I use Wikipedia a ton.
oh
It
my
was a
God, yeah.
very helpful tool.
Whoever
But yeah,
made it, brilliant. So,
good.
what got you into making content? I'm gonna actually use one of Mark's questions here because it is really good. What got you into
Yeah.
making content? Why were you like, you know
Um,
what I want to do? I want to talk about all of this amazing stuff to all my friends.
well, one, if you haven't been able to tell tonight, I love to talk. Um,
It's
just
so good.
and I'm cooped up at home now all the time because I work from home, and so I don't get to talk to very many other humans all the time. So I apologize if I've just been blah, blah, blah the whole time. It's just
No, that's
how
so
I am.
the entire point of this is for
Kind of how
me
I
to get
am.
to talking, let you
And I'll
go.
come at it
Right.
rapid fire too. Like I'll
Keep
just
going.
but
Yeah.
it really I had never we played games and all that stuff, and I never really thought about it until uh my friend Jason Brame, slightly before that Star Wars Destiny came out, or I guess it was right after it came out. They started their podcast, and I saw a post in one of the groups that they were looking for contributors just to either write stuff or whatever. My husband is a tech writer and an editor, and so we both thought, oh, that can be fun. Like we like this game. And so he was editing, and I don't even remember what I was doing starting off in that. I think I was mostly just helping organize stuff, and then eventually I got invited to be a guest on the podcast a couple of times, and then I got made a regular on the podcast.
Nice.
And so that's not that I was remotely good at that game. I was not. I'll be the first one to admit that.
You know what? That's not what it's about. That's not what it's
Yeah, but
about
I
when you're
just had fun with, and
yeah.
we were more directed toward casual players. We talked about
Mhm.
competitive play, but we did it in a more casual kind of like none of us were ever going to win worlds, and that was okay. So we did that until that crumbled, and then I started making board game content because I still had the itch. I wasn't ready to let go of, like, I had gotten so into being a part of this community as a whole,
Mhm.
whether it was any of it, that I was like, I don't want that to go away. Like, I don't want to do it. And I'd been toying with the idea of doing board game stuff at that point, but couldn't really balance both at the time.
Oh
So
yeah.
when Fantasy Flight Sunset Star Wars Destiny, that's when I decided to start. So Tabletop Rebellion is actually a play off of the Chance Cube's Star Wars theme. So the
Uh,
rebellion is Star Wars influenced.
oh, I like that. That's amazing. Yeah, Star Wars. Star Wars is in everything,
So I
friends.
sneak it in there anywhere we can.
Yes. Oh my God, I love it so much. So, okay. So you got your podcast and you're like, okay, this is great, but now I need Tabletop Rebellion. And then comes Bored Out of My Mind.
Yep. Because I
Um,
don't like free time. Like, who needs it? Like, who needs free
I
time?
don't know what you're talking about at all,
What is,
Kim.
who does that? Like, who needs that?
That sounds crazy to
Because
me.
I also like I'm sliding off of that, but I was doing some stuff here in the community too. I think I was telling you offline, like we do the board game group at the library, and I'm like,
Right.
I don't have time to do all this. So yeah, so we Parker and I started doing that beginning of 2023. He
Mhm.
started talking about board game design. It's just been over a year. Like we just were talking about that on one of our last episodes. So he's been designing for about a year. We've been after the first of the year, the podcast will be around for a year.
Mhm.
We've done. I'm in the process of editing episode 17, although there's been some technical glitches as to why that one isn't out yet. But
Oh,
um,
it's okay.
trying to edit some background noise out. But and I've enjoyed that ride so much because we're doing something similar to kind of what you're doing here. Is we're originally season 1 of that podcast was talking about um what different steps of the process of
Mhm.
designing a board game and what that looks like. So we had a focus topic for those, kind of helping Parker take this concept into like playtesting. So
Mhm.
now he's at a point with that game called Trash Dash, and it's being heavily playtested when he can get it to places and stuff like that. But we're kind of we're stuck in this point, and you can't really talk about other parts of the process when he's here. So we decided for
Right.
season 2 that we would actually just interview designers and just talk to them kind of like exactly like what you're doing here, and just be like, tell me your story. How'd you get into this? Like, what got
Yeah.
you into designing, and what were your first games, and what would you go back and tell your your past self, or what would you tell somebody getting into this?
Mhm.
Like, what lessons have you learned? And those I've loved the podcast entirely, but I've really loved this season 2, because I can connect with a little bit more because I'm not designing board games. Maybe someday, but I don't seem to have that itch much yet. I don't
Yeah.
have any
You
ideas.
don't
I
have
just
to.
am. Like,
Right. Yeah. I'm a hardcore player. I want to play all the time. I
yeah,
don't want to make
I'm like,
anything.
I'm your built-in playtester. I'll playtest till the
Yeah.
sun comes home. But I don't. One of these days, we've tossed around a couple of ideas over the past. Like
Mhm.
Jim had one during COVID, and I've had one recently, and they've not gone anywhere other than Jim's got into some prototyping. Mine hasn't gone anywhere but out of my head. Like it's still just there floating around.
That's okay. It will when it needs to. It will when it needs
Yeah,
to.
I
I love
like
that.
with all that abundance of free time, like, yeah, let's
Yes.
throw a board game design in this.
Just learn resin pouring, make some resin stuff for yourself. You'll make your own little game cubes and then you'll start
Yeah,
going from there. It's
we're
great.
getting we're getting a laser engraver really soon. That was our Christmas present to each other.
Oh, it's
I
so
can't
good.
wait for this thing to get here. And so, yes,
Hmm.
there will be many. In fact, we played with the idea of Geek Grain Creations for the name of the thing because we just want to make a bunch of nerdy stuff.
Yes. Yes.
So
We're gonna
I can't
offline
wait.
talk about that. I haven't quite gotten up to the level of laser cutter yet, but that is my next. My
We
next.
have no idea what we're doing. Like, I just hope we don't burn a hole in the floor. But
It's
um,
fine. It's fine. I'm sure.
we know
It
that we
was,
have to vent it. I guess I should say that we know that you
oh,
have to be
really?
safe with these because it's burning
Okay.
wood, so you have to like vent that out of the house. We know that much.
I guess that's
Um,
smoke. Yeah.
we have a 3D printer, but that's been Jim's arena. I don't come near that thing because that's just an accident waiting to happen with me. but I'm so excited. I was like, oh, we can make custom meeples with people's name in them. Ooh, I can make meeple earrings. Oh, we can do this. Like, I've
Yes.
got with all that
Yes.
abundance of free time that now.
Oh,
But I
yes,
told
yes.
I'm just gonna fire off the ideas, and then it'll be Jim's responsibility to create.
It,
So
it
that
sounds like you have a wonderful partnership.
he puts
I
up the man deserves a medal. He puts up with a lot of crap from me.
like
I'm
that.
he is very calm, thank the Lord. Like he's the complete opposite of me. He's very quiet, he's
Mm.
very calm. He's very grounded most of the time. I am anything but any of those things. And he is just along for my wild adventures all the time, which is really cool because
That's amazing.
we've been on a wild adventure for 21 years. And
Oh, it's
he's
so good.
just along for the ride, man. He's like, all right, yeah, we'll give it a try. Like, cool, we'll make content. Cool, we'll get a laser and whatever. Like, bless his heart.
Well, but just remind him whenever, if he ever, and it doesn't sound like he will, but if he ever was like, "How did we start this?" It was all his fault when he took you to Origins.
He knew what he was getting into. I remind
That's
him
right.
that all the time.
Oh
He
my
knew
God,
I
that's
was
so
crazy when this started. So
good. You have no excuse, sir.
yeah. So yeah,
Um,
like I want to make a gazillion like custom things for people now. Like, oh,
yes.
you want your logo on a thing? Let's do it. Like
Do you have a Cricut yet?
I do, which
Okay,
it's
I do too.
dusty. So that makes me a little
No.
nervous about the laser printer. Um, but I feel like vinyl's harder to. There's a whole other medium with that you have to be. I do have there's one in existence that's on the back of my car. We've made that happen. And we've made a few. We've made a couple T-shirts. I'm trying to think. We haven't
Yeah,
made a ton with it.
you
Jim's made
can.
more than I have.
Well, it's so versatile. I figured out that you can make fabric appliques with it.
I heard that you
Um,
could do that. That's cool.
yes, that changed my life, which is the entire reason I got it. I'm like, great vinyl, that's very nice. That can go somewhere else, but like,
Yeah,
I will make some fabric appliques. And then they've
yeah.
got the new sublimation stuff out,
That's
which,
really cool. I've got a friend
yeah.
that is doing some kind of something with that, but she's using I don't know, she's getting her files from or her stuff. I don't even know what she uses. It's not vinyl, but she puts it on but she's got to use a special heat press. So she can't use my
Yep.
little Cricut heat press. And
Yep.
she made us a couple t-shirts like that and they're fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, that's so cool, but I'm out of space for hobbies in my house. So the board game's already
No.
filled. The room that I'm in is full. I can fit maybe two more Calyx in here if I move the TV up to the ceiling, essentially.
You can
I don't know what we're
suspend
gonna
it
do.
from the ceiling, and then you can also suspend shelves for more things.
It's like we finally started to start getting rid of games that we actually really like, and I do not like that feeling at all. We took games up to our Nerdapalooza. I think Mark took one home.
Mhm.
I don't know if it was one of mine. So several games that I love found new homes, and I had a hard time with that.
Yeah,
And
I think it's time for you
it
to find a
hurt.
new home, Kim. So then
Yes,
there would
that's
be
what I
room for
keep
your
saying.
board games.
We've said like anytime. I mean, the market's horrible, but because I've worked it, that
Yeah,
we'll
no, no,
leave.
no. Like
No flood
the
stuff. Don't
bathroom toilet,
watch.
it's
Don't
fine.
just put them in no flood
The
stuff. Don't
bathroom toilet,
watch.
it's
Don't
fine.
just put them in the basement. That doesn't work. We
Nope.
can't put ours.
Nope.
Our basement is it's an old house. The house was built in 1901. I
Mm-hmm.
can't put stuff in my basement. It's creepy down there.
Mm-mm.
So
Yeah, no, murder basements.
it's a
Yeah.
murder basement. It's 100% a murder. I'm terrified. I'm like a small child. I don't go down there. Terrified.
I'm gonna send you a video of my basement. You know, we'll
Creepy
compare
crawlies down
tastes.
there.
Yep, yep.
I'm not a fan. Jim
Oh
has to
yeah.
rescue the Christmas tree every winter because I won't go down there.
Oh no, no, no. Yeah, no. Unfortunately, I'm the only one. Again, my dog doesn't pull his own weight.
Mine wants to
So
go down there, but
down there.
she's no. I need to post a picture in your Discord somewhere of our super nerdy Star Wars Christmas tree.
Yes. Oh, that's right. It's
So
almost the holidays.
it is.
It's
We got
almost
our tree up. We've never gotten our tree up this early. I don't know who we are. We at a time that we had disposable income, we bought the Hallmark Star Wars ornaments. So I have the Death Star tree topper, which is so
uh-huh.
cool. And then there are 6 characters that are on the tree that will connect to the Death Star and tell a good portion of A New Hope. It goes
Oh
on for
my
about 15 minutes. My friend's daughter was over here today and I tried to impress her. I use air quotes. I tried to impress
God.
her. She was done before the theme song was done playing. She did not find it cool at all. And then years ago we had bought the ships, so it's a very similar thing, and it's like 6 or 7 Star Wars ships that do the same thing, but it's all the dialogue that happens on ships. So those wouldn't fit on the tree, so they're on a reef in the living room. So it's a Star Wars
We
version.
need pictures. You'll just drop them in the behind the mask chat and it will be
Yeah.
amazing.
I need to figure out
Oh
how to
my God.
film that because it's like 15 minutes long, but it's really cool. But I feel like the ornaments are spaced out a little too far, and so I feel like it would be herky jerky to follow them around everywhere.
No. Tripod, and then you zoom in on one, and then you zoom in on the other, and then you just don't tell anyone. It's just a photo. It's just a photo. It's fine. Make it easy.
So geeked out about our tree this year. Like and our tree skirt is the plans to the Death Star. We got that on Etsy several years ago.
So, oh my God, it's so good.
In the Breeze house. So
yeah, Life Day.
Yeah.
And then you can watch the special like we all do every year. Oh my God, I love it. So there are a ton of questions that are still in there, and it's almost 10 o'clock. Like, that flew by.
I know. I'm a chatty girl. And I go around.
It's so easy. I love it. I love it when y'all are easy.
You turn me loose on a topic, I'm going to go.
Right. It's so easy. I love it. Okay. If you feel like
fire a couple questions, I got a little more time. So
I can do it. You ready? What is your all-time favorite book?
Oh God.
The easy question. Come on, Kim.
I loved when I was a child, I loved A Wrinkle in Time. And I read it. I don't even know how many times when I was a kid.
Oh, I love that.
So I will still maintain that that's probably the book I've read the most.
Sweet. Do you have a different favorite as an adult?
What was the one? I actually really like. There's a Stephen King book about the assassination of Kennedy.
Ooh.
Oh God, I'm gonna balk up. 11/26/68. I think
okay.
The date of I should know this, but I wasn't alive when Kennedy was shot. I'm not that old. So it's not his normal horror stuff. It is it's got a little time travel in it. I loved that book. Like that's probably like it's one that it's on the docket to read again soon because it was such a cool book.
Nice. We'll get it and we'll put it in the chat for everyone else.
Yeah.
Okay.
Title. I should know it. It's bad.
Which let's see, it's 11/22/63, a novel.
Oh, that's okay. I just closed the 3. We'll just blame that.
You got really close. You got really, really close. I wouldn't have gotten there. Yeah, that's amazing. Okay, which board game doesn't get the attention it should?
Anything from Fight in a Box.
That's very true. I agree with you.
I also love this game called Founding Fathers, which is
Founding Fathers?
It's a game called Founding Fathers from Alter Pro that is literally about voting on the Constitutional Congress thing. Like it's all about that. And I'm a big history buff for that kind of stuff, and I don't know why I really liked that game.
Interesting. We're gonna have to check it out. That's amazing. Okay, what were the other podcast names in the running for Bored Out of My Mind?
Oh, I wish I could find the list. We had a list. There was a running list. I'll have to find it and put in the chat because I'd have to go back and ask Parker at this point.
Oh, that's so good. Yeah.
We came to a relative. Actually, wait a second. It is in the chat because you all named our podcast.
Did we?
Yes. So I put it in one of the chats and asked for suggestions. I can't believe I forgot this almost. It's old. So it's like a year old ish, not quite a year old conversation. But we put something in there that I was talking about, and we got several suggestions from the group here, and we went with one of those.
Yeah. Kay White says, "Oh, that was you. I remember the channel brainstorm for that title." Yeah. So, like Nightcast Creative, y'all are making podcasts. Yeah. Yep. It's amazing.
I can't believe
we're all like a giant family. I love it very much.
And let me tell you, it's hard to come up with a board game themed podcast name that hasn't been taken.
Right.
So we affectionately go by Boom, BOOMM all the time. So you'll see us abbreviated as Boom.
Bored out of that works. That's amazing. Oh, I love it so much. Okay. So we're gonna wrap up. You're amazing. We can, for everyone who is watching on YouTube, all 15,000 of you, just come on over to the Nightcat's Creative Discord.
Do it.
We do a general chat afterwards where we kind of hang out with everyone. It's gonna be amazing. But before we do that and jump over, Kim, where can we find you on the interwebs?
I'm mostly at everything Tabletop Rebellion. I don't hang out on the X app because I don't do that. It's too But Facebook, Instagram, the TikTok app, I'm over there some, and we do have a Facebook group called Tabletop Rebels that you are welcome to join and come talk about board games and whatever's going on. We have a Discord, but it is not super active because I'm sometimes really terrible to remember that Discord is a great social media tool. And I have wonderful friends on here, and I just forget to check it. So I'll have to hang out in here with you guys instead. And check out Board Out of My Mind if you want to see what's happening there, if you're interested in board game design and want to see how that journey for Parker's going.
I love that so much. So sweet. That's where we can find Kim. Now we're going to smile and wave, and we're going to tell everybody we'll see you next time. Oh, we're taking a January and February break, but we'll be back.